Okay, it's day 135.3, and this is more connect the dots between the White House and the Washington Post. If you hadn't seen the earlier versions today, watch those. But there's 190 of these whistleblowers in Washington, D.C. This Fiddler program was supposedly rolling up these 190 different folks here. Now supposedly the Fiddler program is to take them out by luring them to different locations, having snipers shoot them, and then coming up with some kind of wacky backstory. So here's the dead body right here, and the speculation is this, and somehow Q knew this, that this was suicide weekend, quote unquote suicide weekend. Here's the quote here. So was this person, and I'm not saying it was Rob Portman, but somebody like that, a whistleblower or a suspected leaker, who knows how many are at the DHS, who knows how many are at the CIA, who knows how many are at FBI. We only would know that from the report that McCullough was working on that Wayne Stone took over and buried. We don't know who the 190 are, but supposedly this is the first death in the series. Was this person lured here? Did they say, hey, let's meet by the North Gate? Did they all of a sudden get shot? Were there all of a sudden covering shots fired? We don't really know. But I will tell you this. The president, I just talked with Deep Uranium, and he has an echelon group, as you guys know. I will tell you this. I do think that President Trump was briefed on that. And normally when you have a wacky person do something wacky at the White House gate and get shot, it's normally not the subject of a presidential briefing. Now, if you recall, there was about 3 days before there was a setup where, normally when you're setting up a hit like this, you would have somebody do something wacky beforehand. And I always look at people who run the White House gate 18 times. It's kind of like Alpha Jola, well, I stole a whole bunch of cars, but then I got off. Then I stole a whole bunch more cars, but then I got off again. And then I had a shootout with the White House police, then I got off again. And then I had another shootout with the White House police when the Iwans needed to go put the new servers in, and I got off again. So it's like when I see these wacky stories about somebody who, the woman who charged the White House gate yet again, it's almost like a cover for the next one you hear. You go, oh, there's a whack job at the White House again. And you don't really look into the metadata around this. And the key metadata for me was the body was still covered and they were guarding it with these M16s. Normally, Washington on a Saturday, lots of tourists, you'd want to get that body out of there. But this was different. But the reaction to this was the thing that is seared in my mind. And Task Force was there with me. The Marine One came. Now the Marine One takes off on the other side of the White House, on the south lawn. Okay, it doesn't come off here. The helicopter, when it took off, came at this building like it was on an attack run at the Washington Post. Now, I'm not saying that Podesta, writing for the Washington Post, he's now the symbol of the Washington Post, but it was almost like Mad Dog Mattis. This reminds me of the helicopter crashing this reminds me very much of the helicopter crashing at the Rothschilds. It's kind of like a message, like, hey, we know it's you. I mean, this helicopter came almost on an Apache attack angle. I talked with Deep Uranium. He knows the flight patterns. He's been to Washington a lot. He knows that that's not the normal flight pattern. This was very much a threat flight pattern. The other helicopter that left, and I know they usually have Marine One leave in twos, just so you don't get a beat on the president, I swear, went over Georgetown, went over John Podesta's house. That may or may not be true, but for me, it was Mattis saying this Fiddler program is not going to go through all 190. You're not going to be able to go through all 190. We know who they are, and this is not going to happen. Now, that may be rank speculation. I'm sure it is, but if you look at the metadata, again, just screams, this is the roll-up plan for the 190 whistleblowers. If I was President Trump and Mattis and Kelly, I would put out this report, declassify these 190 whistleblowers before they're all dead.